What's up everyone, Boyces here, and today I'll be going over the patch notes of 10.25. It's just the last few changes for the last patch of 2020. Not much to go for, it's just mainly what's overpowered being a little nerfed and what's being underplayed being buffed. I will go over everything and give you my thoughts. If you enjoyed this kind of videos, please like and subscribe. You can ask me any questions down in the comments or on my Discord, where you can find the link in the description. But here it goes. So the first change that they made was the odds to find forecast at level 7 from 10 to 12. They're doing that just because if you're behind and you have to roll at level 7 just because you're too weak, in 2024 you just had to super high roll basically, and really rarely could find the unit that you want, even if it was a one star forecast. So they're just trying to change that. That is basically the main idea. Also a good change now that if you do have an over unit on the board because of carousel, if you don't sell it, it will be sold automatically. So again, just remember. For balances, Divine going from 50 to 45% in damage reduction bonus to damage. That to me doesn't change anything. Yeah, Divine is still going to be probably not broken, but just OP. Still S tier for sure. Yeah, it's still going to be really, really strong. I'm a little worried about this. Erdewood being buffed at 3 and 6 because before Erdewood were dominating the meta. And it's true that Erdewood is not being played recently. You would just rather go full legendaries at level 8 or 9, even if you're playing Ashe as a carry. So this can help, like, maybe having the 6 Erdewood. Like, right now, 6 Erdewood with this buff, it should be kind of a really, really strong mid-game. So we'll see how this goes, but if you can get 6 Erdewood online at level 6-7 maybe, with Chosen, it will be really, really strong. Mages, they're just buffing 6 because, well, let's be honest, 6 mages is not being played. It is actually doing fine in the early to mid game when you have 3 and 6, but it falls off like super hard later. Just nobody's playing that. So they just get 10%. I don't think it's gonna change much. If you're a fan of this comp, well, it just got a little better. So. Vanguards, so the thing with Vanguard is nobody plays it because Vi exists, because Yone exists, so the armor doesn't matter much because you just get a 3 less whisper unit. So they are buffing it, so now you can have an actual frontline in the early game if you just get a Garen and a Wukong. You get 120 armor instead of 100, it's a little more. If you can get 2-4, that's 300. That's actually kind of huge in the early game to have 300 armor. But again, I think you would have to just pivot out of this at one point just because once people do find the Vi or the Yone Vanguards, it's just being shredded. Which is another reason why Ahri is not played that much with Vanguards at least, because, yeah, everybody's getting shredded. So, yeah. On the one cost side, they are nerfing Diana and Lissandra. They have been getting nerfs over nerfs over nerf. I don't know, the last 3 to 4 patches. So, I mean, it's true that usually if you do get to one of those Chosens and you just, like, found the units, you just almost guarantee a top 4. Yeah, I mean, 8 orbs, she's still gonna do a ton of damage, still going to be super tanky. It's just 50 damage heal at 4 star. Yeah, still going to be really strong. Fiora, I think that's just... I mean, it's just basically the worst unit in the game, right? Like, you would never get that chosen, ever. in the early game just because it doesn't provide anything. But now if you do actually get her to 2-star in the early game, that's 400 damage instead of 300, and has less mana, so she can cast more. That's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. So we'll see. Might be playable in the early game, but yeah, we'll see. Maokai gaining 40 and 30 armor and magic resist. This was actually the only brawler that I think of that didn't have the 40-30 before. So now it will be the good frontline, actual good frontline, especially if you with the Atheros buff. If you can get 3 Atheros early, if you get him chosen and add a Lulu or a Vega or anything in the early game, you have a great frontline. If you put Sunfire on him, I suspect you should be win streaking. Yeah, really strong. Wukong, I mean, is just an item order for any AD carry. If you don't find a Z or anything like that, you would just put it on the Wukong. Now his AD ratio is better. He will do more damage. That's great, but you know, you cannot still play Bonky Kong. That comp is still gone. Atheros nerf and buff at the same time. Actually, the nerf is because of the buff. Because now the Atheros will keep attacking during the Hunter activation trait. And actually, Atheros is already really strong. It's a little underplayed. It's like a little under the radar. I'm gonna make a guide actually on it tomorrow. It will be on the YouTube the day after I release this video. Because it's actually really strong and you can definitely top 4 for sure and even top 1 without going for a bunch of legendaries. Really, really strong. 5AD is not gonna do that much. He will still attack during the Hunter trait. Really strong. Another buff to Atheros, by the way, where now he can cast a little faster than before, just 10 mana, which is 1 auto attack. So he can heal faster. It will be just a better frontline. So again, Atheros being better in the early game. Yeah, Atheros might be a really, really strong early game, and then you can just continue building the Atheros into Ashe or Veigar carry, and yeah, will be really, really strong. G4 was definitely the best 2 cost in the game. Now it just gets nerfed by 20 mana, which is fine because he was casting way too much. Now he might cast twice, and that's it. Yeah, that's being deserved. Silas buff at 3 and 4 star. This is another reason why I'm a little scared about the Atheros comp, because the Atheros comp is using Silas for the other Moonlight trait. And it's getting buffed at 4 star and at 3 star. So usually you 3 star this and 4 star this one. It will do more damage at 3 star, and it's almost as much damage as Lysandra 4 now, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's almost as much damage as Lysandra 4, but this is at Silas 3. So it's going to do a lot of damage, which is a little scary. I hope it's not overbuff, but definitely Atheros going really strong in this last patch of the year. Vi is getting a little buff and nerf kind of thing. That's just reworking the armor penetration stuff to be basically small, medium, and large, to being 40, 60, 80. You're going to see that Last Whisper is also changed from 75 to 80 because it should be a large armor penetration. Yone will be in a medium one. But Vi is part of it as well. So now all the numbers are matching. That's basically what they are doing, those changes. Naya, she has 50 mana, so maybe something like a blue buff, True Gauntlet, Vi can work now, which would be funny to see. But yeah, good stuff. The Evelynn. So the Evelynn change is basically a nerf to Evelynn 1. Just because she was executing too much. So they are changing the execute damage, and then they are buffing the Evelynn 2 to 3 star if you're going Shade or Cotis, that's great. Yeah, she will just execute less. She will do the damage still, like a lot more, because that's 100 damage at 2 star. That's pretty big. And at 3-star if you go full shade. Yeah, I think this is a good change. She was just too strong at level 1. She was just executing everything. If you could put like a blue buff or gunblade, she could kill the entire team in the early game if you get her early. So yeah, this is good. Kalista, so this is actually a buff. The attack speed is just because it's to avoid an overbuff. Because now Kalista works with almost all the items. So she won't work with Drew Gauntlet. Do not be a Drew Gauntlet on Kalista. It still doesn't work. But Hand of Justice, Giant Slayer, Rabadon, all those stuff are being fixed. That will do enough damage. And also now it's going to take into consideration the shields, the damage reduction, because you can face Divine, and stuff like that. So now Kalista is an actual unit. Like she will, once she does cast her ultimate, the unit will be killed. So again, this will be really, really strong. If you're going Duelist, which is going to be still a super good comp, you can have her as a carry. Really, really strong. Lux, the Lux Chosen is basically changed from mana to AP. That's just because if you do get her as a Divine Chosen, because of the mana, it will not trigger during the Divine proc. So that didn't make much sense, which is why they are doing this change. So this is fair. Xin is getting another buff. This unit is getting buff after buff after buff. Again, that is quite scary. He has more attack speed. He hurts more at 1 and 2 star. So if you get him early into the game, it will hurt even more. Yeah, if you do get into 6 Warlords and have tanky items on this, it will be really hard to kill and will do more damage. And it's being also underplayed right now. So again, be careful with this. Really, really strong. Yumi is just like a mystic bot, and she will just die too quickly before casting twice, which is what usually you want Yumi to do, to just go here to the frontline unit and go back to the backline to heal. So she just gets 50 HP. That's fine. Talon KW that patch. Didn't see any play whatsoever. It was just garbage. Now it's gonna do work because that's a lot more damage, and it's just percentage. So if you do get an IE or any AD item, that will hurt a lot. Is it going to be enough? I don't know, but that's definitely hurting a lot. We need to be careful with that. We may need to give it a try. Warwick, he just gets 10% lifesteal less, so now sometimes he won't survive before the Divine. You might have to actually maybe stack lockets or put him a little behind than the front line before he can do anything, so he cannot be, focused directly. But don't worry, Warwick is still super strong. It's not broken. Now he could die if you don't hit him. You can still burst him faster now, basically. But once he gets his Divine online and his attack speed, he's still gonna have a 3 BT basically, so still really, really strong. Kayn, Round-Offing Kayn, 25 damage at level 1 and 2, which is fine just because it was doing way too much damage because of the fix that they did. And Seth is getting a huge buff because now Seth will actually ult. There is not going to be any bugs anymore. Where there is 2 sets on the board, they won't ult each other, or there is a unit that cannot ult, anything like that. Now Seth will ult, so that's actually a huge buff to Seth. And again, if you have another ult spot, you just put it on the Seth or on the Warwick, and this is super strong. So yeah, and the Last Whisper going to 75 to 80. This is just to make all the numbers the same for the armor penetration stuff. But that is it for this patch. Predictions: Erdewood really, really strong in the early game now. Divine still should be dominating the meta, and just not as much. Warlords with Katarina, the new buff Vi, the new buff Xin should be also really strong in the early game and the mid game. Sharpshooters, they are still going to be just bad, basically. Moonlight is still going to work. And now also, if you do get behind, you have a chance to roll at 7 and find some units that you couldn't find before. Just for these small changes from 10 to 12. But that's it for this patch rundown. Let me know if you do have any questions in the comments or on my Discord. I will see you guys next time.